morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Ivy Tech Northeast Campus for this post-secondary career pathways event. Thank you, everyone, for being here this morning. We're excited about our agenda today. There's been some wonderful planning and a lot of hard work behind bringing all of you together, and we're excited about the folks who were able to join us today between our K-12 higher education, nonprofit, industry representatives. So thank you for being here this morning. My name is Josh Wenning. I'm the Executive Director for the Region 8 Education Service Center, one of the partners today. I've been asked to help kind of MC the day a little bit to kind of help keep us moving through the agenda, to keep us on time, on track, so that we can obviously respect everyone's time, have a meaningful day, and make sure that this is a great event for everyone who's involved. You are here today as an important component to the success of our students and industries in Northeast Indiana. Educators, employers, nonprofits, industry leaders, government representatives, and community partners are convening today to lead our region forward as a model for successful partnerships and successful use of post-secondary career pathways. Our goal is simple yet challenging, which is align K-12 and higher education resources to the needs of employers to maximize career pathway opportunities for students. Post-secondary career pathways are needed now more than ever as global competition, a rapidly changing job market, and economic uncertainties make planning for our students' futures difficult. A recent Gallup survey found that only 49% of 5th through 12th grade students identified as being engaged in school, while 47% saw their futures as being hopeful, so again, less than half. In fact, the survey found that students become less engaged as they move through school. Part of the reason for these results is the inability for some students to have the opportunity to do what they do best on a regular basis, or to pursue areas of interest and natural talent. Career pathways provide the avenue for student engagement by laying out a structured plan for success, leading to not only jobs, but to a career. This plan inspires hope, and it allows students to create goals in order to achieve their dreams. So what's our purpose of the day? It should begin with what author Simon Sinek laid out as our why. What's our cause, our belief, our purpose? Our why is what we believe students who fully engage and connect with career pathway resources will maximize their college and career readiness, quite simply. We know that if they take advantage of what we can structure for them, this can maximize their own talents, maximize our resources, and also our collective resources. The what and the how of how we do that is by seeking these collaborative solutions. We're here as collaborative partners from a variety of sectors, a variety of industries. Again, from education, business, and nonprofit stakeholders in assisting students with career pathways. The how of what we do is through the leading of convening sessions just like this one. So while each of you come today with your own why you do what you do, the purpose behind your organization, the purpose for what drives you when you wake up in the morning, I would challenge you to take advantage of this time together, to be an active participant. That's going to be really important. You're going to get out of today what you're willing to put in. If you engage with if our education partners engage with our business partners and vice versa, it's going to be a much more meaningful day for you individually and also for us collaboratively and for your team. I hope that you're able to leverage the ideas and the collective knowledge in this event to do something unique in your schools, in your organizations, to create new partnerships, to imagine resource opportunities for your students that do not currently exist. Leave today inspired to help students maximize their potential through post-secondary career pathways.
My name is Elisa Deck. I am the Director of Workforce Development for the Center of Excellence in Leadership and Learning in Indianapolis. And I have the pleasure to be helping today with Josh Spencer. Josh, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'd love to. Thank you. My name is Josh Spencer. I am the Chief Actuary and Assistant Vice President for Brotherhood Mutual, which is a property and casualty insurance company here in Fort Wayne. We've been in business for 100 years now, insuring churches. and some of their related, ministries, like maybe a rescue mission or a food pantry or a camp or maybe a school or something like that. I am new to Fort Wayne in the last 3 years. So I came here from Central Illinois, and before that I was in school at Ball State. And I'm also, I guess, representing the entire specialty insurance industry by myself. But that would include companies here locally like Medical Protective, Lincoln, Ash Brokerage, PHP, American Specialty, K&K, and maybe a few others as well.
So I think the first question I'll ask to kind of start things off, and please, anyone that has questions, just jump right in. So what made you decide to go into the insurance business, especially as an actuary?
Yeah, so I had actually spoken with a career counselor during my junior year of high school who suggested actuarial science might be a good fit for me. And after that point, I went to Ball State and met with a couple professors and decided it would be a great place to start. And I'm very grateful I did. As an actuary, most actuaries work in the insurance industry. Not all, but most. And so I had the opportunity to intern with some insurance companies while I was still in college. And that's how I made it to the insurance industry.
How many of you are with education? Okay, and business or... Okay. All right. With educators, how do you propose that we help students understand that there is such a specialty or a sector area such as insurance, and how do you introduce that in schools? Do you guys have anything you guys do? No? Do you have any suggestions on how they could do that?
Right. Yeah. Definitely some opportunities. I think what it's important to keep in mind, a couple different things. One is insurance companies, there are some professions that we would associate with insurance. So actuaries, underwriting, claims adjusters, insurance sales, you would associate those. But here in Fort Wayne, at least locally, these are big home office operations that actually employ virtually any background. So they have marketing teams that are bigger than a lot of ad agencies. They have, sales forces, which is can be a very non-traditional skill set. IT, a quarter of my entire company is IT. So we employ, huge numbers of people across all different professional backgrounds. We have people from the construction industry that are doing building surveys and inspections for us. CPAs and CFAs in our finance, human resources. So there is a broad spectrum to keep in mind whenever you talk about insurance. It's not just the traditional positions. It's also all the support to run a company. But the other thing to keep in mind is if there was ever a time to talk about insurance, it's important to clarify the distinction between Fort Wayne's insurance and maybe insurance more broadly. So the most common types of insurance that you might think of are your car insurance, your home insurance, or health insurance. But Northeast Indiana specifically is a hotbed for specialty insurance, and that specialty word is really getting at, it's the more unusual types of insurance that you might not have come across as much, but are much more interesting. For example, it could include things like we provide cyber liability insurance, to prevent, or to recover after a hacking event, or kidnap and ransom insurance, or we're insuring very large and unusual structures worth hundreds of millions of dollars that a typical insurance company might not ever look at. Some of the other companies are insuring medical malpractice insurance if a doctor gets sued after an operation goes wrong or a missed diagnosis. We even have some companies like K&K or American Specialty that they are insuring, like if a college athlete wanted to insure a body part, they would buy that here in Fort Wayne. Or if there was like the Indy 500, if they needed insurance for that event, they would buy that from Fort Wayne. So we're providing some of the most unique and unusual insurance available anywhere in the U.S. So I would say our positions are better than what you might find elsewhere.
Go ahead. So I'll go ahead and make a plug for the banking industry because it kind of fits in with what you're talking about. I work at First Source Bank, so we have, trouble finding people too. And I'm sitting here thinking about, like you're talking about all the different positions. It isn't just the teller that you walk in the bank and talk to, but those are positions that are lots of availability there and does not require a college degree. But also just even in some of the related industries, we do mortgages. So we're always looking for people that can originate mortgages, and then there are jobs out there with the title companies. And there's all kinds of, in the financial services industry, there's so many different jobs that kids should be made aware of.
Yeah, I remember a conversation with just a friend here in Fort Wayne. She was expressing some frustration with her current position as a caseworker, and I was like, "What? Would you ever apply at Brotherhood? It's a great company to work for. We're one of the best companies in the state to work for." And she's like, "I don't want to work in insurance." I was like, "Why not?" And she said, "I don't want to be selling insurance policies." That's like such a tiny fraction of our workforce. We would have a huge need for somebody with a social worker background. We have need for RNs to deal with our workers' compensation claimants who might be going through an injury or a medical situation and they need some advice. And we need people digging through those hospital billing codes. We need people from a law enforcement background that are comfortable working with attorneys and in really stressful situations, following some of these liability incidents that we might be insuring. There's just so many professions that we have a need for, the biggest of which is probably IT. Most insurance companies are really IT companies that happen to sell insurance.
And what kind of a degree or not degree are you looking for IT?
Now, I don't hire IT professionals specifically, so they might have a better, in my mind, they're looking for computer science majors, but probably more than the major, they're looking for, can you code? Can you code in that language? So our company has 2 or 3 software languages that we primarily build applications in, and I'm sure the other insurance companies do as well. But anybody that's buying an insurance policy really wants to be able to interact with that company digitally. So having very sophisticated websites and policy management tools and smartphone apps and so on. So it's, can you code? If yes, we would like you to work for us.
What about our students who are dead set on not going to college? What can we tell them as far as the insurance business? What kind of jobs can they get going into without a college degree?
That's very difficult. Insurance in general requires a bachelor's degree. There aren't a lot of positions that require a master's degree or higher. The only one I can think of would be like attorneys. But it's very difficult right now to come into insurance other than in a clerical fashion without a bachelor's degree. The 2 exceptions that I'm thinking of would be in, we have a risk control division that they're inspecting properties, they're going, they typically have a background in construction or engineering, and so they can spot when things look off and provide recommendations. So some people that have a background in construction might not have a bachelor's degree. That could work. And then sales would be the other. No one cares what your degree is if you can sell. So there are a huge number of sales positions, particularly for the larger and more complex types of insurance policies that are out there.
Okay, great. Any other quick questions regarding that?
I was just going to say, too, I think it's interesting to piggyback on what you said, because one of the reasons why, as a planning committee, we thought it was important to have specialty insurance here, it's really one of the 4 pillars of workforce readiness and workforce needs in our region.
Right.
But I had a lot of getting into specialty insurance, I had a lot of the aha moments myself, because when you think of insurance, that's your first thought of selling. State Farm, Geico, it's those selling insurance, but really the biggest need, as you said, Josh, is the IT. And the idea is that 10 years ago, when we were submitting insurance claims, it was all paper. You got to email this, fill out that, fax this. And now it's all cloud-based. I mean, everyone can access all of their insurance data through cloud-based
Yep.
and apps on your phone. So the idea, just to reinforce what you're saying, is that there is a huge need for kids that are interested, or students that are interested in the IT programming field,
Yeah.
because that's the meat of what you do, is that cloud sourcing of all that data, giving people access to their data in new and interesting ways.
Right.
And I think if you could talk more about that, to what Martin had talked about, how do we get more kids that are interested in coding and really interested in computers and technology to think more about that huge need in the IT field, and especially in specialty insurance.
Yeah, that's a good point. And there's also, coming back closer to my area too, analytics is a big part of it, big data, data science. Those are all different words for actuarial science, which is what I do. But marrying data and technology with analytics, for example, a lot of the newer companies now, if you have an insurance claim, you have a car accident or whatever it might be, you are whipping out your phone, you are doing a video survey of what's happened. You might be entering some information, and then the AI, the machine learning behind the scenes, is calculating through all that and deciding what to do. And it might determine on the spot that without any human intervening, we want to pay this insurance claim right away for this amount and issue a payment directly to the person's bank account. So that's all mathematics and IT, and that's what's powering a lot of the growth in insurance.
What advice would you have for let's say, a student in junior high, as far as what would be some of the skills or the curriculum that you would recommend that they focus on to potentially go into the insurance field?
So I'll focus specifically on some like the IT and the actuarial and the financial and the analytical portion, but keep in mind again, insurance it covers every industry, every professional background. We need it all. But within the more science and technology, that's exactly what we want. We just want somebody that has an aptitude for math, an aptitude for logical thinking, and an ability to work hard.
Yeah, great. I know in several of the discussions that we've had across the state in the last year, we're seeing that these professional skills, or these some call soft skills, transferable skills, a lot of times, I think that insurance is one of those unique sectors in that you're looking for more of that analytical piece, but you're also needing some of that soft piece. And what does that look like? I mean, the ideal storm would be someone that probably could communicate well, has great written skills, and is a people person. What's your thoughts on that as far as how can we help in the school systems of being able to integrate those professional skills as well as those analytical skills?
I think you're exactly right, that it's important to not just focus on the one side, because there's so many people that are technically strong, but not maybe aren't able to communicate as well or work well. But in a big company, we need people to be able to work effectively across departments. I need to be able, as an actuary, to work with marketing, to work with sales, even though we might be sort of polar opposites, at least stereotypically, on the skill set spectrum. When I think about the applications that I receive, when I have positions available, I get a mix of, I'll get some native Indiana local people applying for my positions, maybe some more regional, and then I'll also get quite a few from international students. And more often than not, there aren't any technical concerns with the international students that are applying for my positions. They have the STEM background. And so what I'm really looking for are the people that can rise above that they're able to match all the technical qualifications, but they also have the ability to act like a normal human.
So we mentioned this in the other session, and I think it's really great to hear more about the internships and working with colleges. Would you want to share with this group kind of what colleges you're working with and what you're looking for in an internship or opportunity?
Sure. So we do offer internship programs, and the other insurance companies in town do as well. Now, like I commented earlier, almost all the positions are looking for a bachelor's degree at minimum. or usually just a bachelor's degree. And so we are working with the colleges more so than the high schools. So we don't offer a lot of job shadowing opportunities for the high school students, except maybe by special request. But we do have formal internship programs. So at Brotherhood specifically, we work most often with locally Grace and Huntington and Taylor and Indiana Wesleyan. And some of that is just due to our marketplace. We're marketing to churches. And so having people that have maybe grown up in that or have an affinity for that makes it a little easier to relate. They have more of a passion for our customer base, which really shows through in the final work product. But that's true in general, but at the same time, there are some areas like IT and actuarial and finance where we cast a broader net. We're looking for some of the bigger schools that specialize maybe in those areas, like a Ball State, a Purdue, a Butler, a Notre Dame, looking a little bit further out. So like I said, we do offer an internship program. Ours is a little bit unique. Maybe some of the other companies would offer this, but we actually like to take our interns and move them through every division of the company. So it's not a marketing internship. It's a Brotherhood Mutual internship. They will even spend some time in the field with one of our agents, depending on the particular program that they choose. But there are a lot of internship opportunities within insurance. That's very common.
Josh, one of the things that we've heard a little bit about is kind of that brain drain from the community, right? So that kids may go to college and then they don't return back to the community. And it seems like that could be, the insurance industry and your company could be a great opportunity for them, right?
Yeah.
And so what efforts are you all doing, or what advice do you have on how to attract some of those kids that may have gone off to college to come back right to Fort Wayne and make their family and their livelihood here?
Right. So I'm going to say a couple things. The first would be, what are we doing about it? One of the things that we did in the last 6 months was representatives from specialty insurance companies traveled throughout the region, going to schools a little bit further away, think like the University of Illinois, and collectively presented, here's why specialty insurance should appeal to people from this area to consider moving to Fort Wayne. And one of our core arguments was, we have so many companies within this space that if you started your career at one company, you wouldn't have to move to a different city if you wanted to make a change in your career, take that next step up, because there's so many companies in town. And we're okay with that. We're okay with losing employees to our competitors, in a sense, within the city, because if they're staying locally, we know there's definitely a chance to win them back in the future. So we've been sort of collectively marketing the region rather than our own companies individually. The second thing is to, what could we do more broadly, not just specialty insurance, but more broadly, is I think a lot of it is just our conversational tone about what do we think about this city. I've met so many people in the 3 years that I've lived in Fort Wayne that are embarrassed by the city, or they hate the weather, or they talk about it like there's nothing going on, even though this is really a world-class, mid-sized city, and it has a lot of strengths for a city of its size. So I hear so many people describing this as, it's just a great place to raise a family. It's a low cost of living. That's true about 98% of the United States. There's a lot of really good places to raise a family. So if we can start to talk amongst ourselves and with our students and with our families with pride about the city, I think that will really help with the brain drain and people's desire to go somewhere else.
I have a personal question for you, I guess, and thought. I have a daughter who just graduated from college with an elementary education degree and absolutely doesn't want to teach, as those of you who are in education know why. And so I'm hearing about an industry that looks for kids with bachelor's degrees. Now, she's struggling to find anything because she has elementary education and no background in business other than last semester she took quite a few business classes. What advice could I give her, or what advice to our kids who, you know, they don't know what they want to major in. They don't know what they want to do when they go to college, those that do. And then they're too far to change their major, so now what?
Yeah.
You know, 10 years ago, it seemed like if you had a bachelor's degree, you could get a job doing whatever. It doesn't seem like that now. It seems to be much more specialized.
Yeah.
So she's struggling. So I just don't know how to.
So one thing that she could do, and I don't know that she would like the insurance industry, maybe she would, but one thing she could do to find out is there are ways to step into the insurance industry without acquiring a job and without spending a ton of money. And that's because the insurance industry is overflowing with professional designations. There's a lot of continuing insurance education organizations out there. For example, I'm a chartered property casualty underwriter. That's a designation that I have. And there's a society that offers examinations that allowed me to earn that credential. So as somebody not in the industry, maybe as a high school student, maybe as a college student, or looking for work currently, consider within insurance what type of position might be appealing. Would claims adjusting maybe catch your interest? And if so, research what sort of professional designation is available for claims adjusting. And the exams might cost $300, $500, and it might take some personal study time over a few months, but all of a sudden you'd be designated. And that would give you a leg up in any interview as you consider stepping into the field. So almost every position in insurance has several designations that's available. It's just a part of the culture.
Yeah, I think there are several students out there probably just like your daughter that, went for their 4-year degree in an area that they thought maybe that's what their interest was going to be in. And I certainly think that, this is an opportunity to continue to be that lifelong learner and to research and look at what other career options are available and can lead to a meaningful wage. One of the other topics of discussion and something I'm very passionate about is researching and looking at behavioral styles and gender differences. And we were talking about how a lot of our students now, which they're calling the Z generation or the cloud generation, coming out of this is looking for quality of life, even especially like millennials and as well. They're more worried about the quality of life and loving their job and having fun in their job rather than looking at what pays the most. And so I think that was another, topic of conversation that we found very interesting in, how do we help bridge that gap between business and industry and education to continue to educate our students on these different options. I can personally say when I was going through school, which has been a long time ago, I didn't know anything about the insurance industry. I knew my parents had insurance, okay, but I didn't know anything to the magnitude that I've just, been able to find out about today. So how can we bridge that gap, and how can we continue to educate our young people about these career opportunities?
So one thing that I think is a little helpful can be to talk about what are some of the best professions that are out there, not the highest paying. Everybody knows like anesthesiologists are probably the highest. That's the highest. So if you want the most money, go be an anesthesiologist or petroleum engineer or something like that. But if you were to look at these best positions, the ones that people find most rewarding, and it's a combination of work-life balance and pay and stress level and so on, a lot of them are saying it is the positions like IT, data science, actuarial science, financial management, things like that people find very rewarding. And so those jobs are in insurance, at least locally, very much so.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns? This is all about connecting and networking. So I know we're kind of a pair duo here. It's we don't have the panel that we had before, So I know that there's just us looking for anything else you want to add. You might want to share with them about that you were at Ball State and there weren't very many scholarships, and when you were in this field, the insurance company came looking for you at Ball State and paid your tuition.
Yeah, that's very true. For people that are able to consider insurance while they're still in high school and go to school with the intention of studying insurance, there are insurance programs in the region. Ball State's an example. Purdue, I think St. Francis has an RMI, Risk Management and Insurance program. Trine might even offer, I don't know that for sure, but Notre Dame. And insurance in general is older than the average industry in terms of workforce age. We have a lot of people within 10 years of retirement. And I've seen campaigns that the insurance industry is doing in general to try and raise awareness among millennials at the career possibilities. But just within my company, as an example, probably 30 to 50% of our entire company is within 10 years of retirement. So we have a huge need for younger people to be coming in and getting the experience to take over as the next generation of insurance leaders. And so that's what I saw when I went to Ball State. As soon as I joined the insurance program, I didn't have any scholarships when I went to college, but I started going to the insurance club and just taking the classes and applying. And by my junior year, college was free the rest of the way. So insurance companies are very big, they're very well funded, and they're very supportive of higher education. So if students are up for studying it, it's probably going to be free.
Does that include like a lot of the licensing that goes into insurance, whether it's specialty or not? I mean, even the basic ones about life and P&C, some of your entry level licensing. Do you recommend people bring those bring that with? Do they need to have that already on their resume when they come in, or are those things that people can come without those licenses and potentially have a job? Just speaking to your company.
Yeah, you can come without. Most people come without, but if you come with, it just shows an interest level, a commitment level. Again, insurance is not something that a lot of people grew up wanting to do. Very few sixth graders would say that they want to be an insurance, claims adjuster or anything like that. So we do struggle at times with people if they're coming right out of school and they didn't study insurance or something related. Maybe they have a history degree or whatever, and they just get an entry-level job. They might leave after 2 years and try something different, and that's fine. But if somebody's taken the time to get a designation of some sort, they've at least been exposed to the type of material that we'll be dealing with, and they can probably get a sense for if they would enjoy it. So it's an indicator that they might be more likely to stick around.
There's no television shows that center around insurance. That's why kids don't know that it evolved, that
That's
it's
true.
around, that there's a career out there.
There was About Schmidt, which was about a depressed actuary. Might have been suicidal. And then there was Along Came Polly. That's probably the other one that people might associate with insurance. And so if you ever saw that movie, and Ben Stiller, he's like interviewing this daredevil millionaire to see if they can insure him. That's kind of like, that's specialty insurance when you're doing can you insure somebody that's living a crazy lifestyle?
There you go. Okay, so I guess one last thought. Our time is just about up. You had mentioned that in specialty insurance, just in the Fort Wayne area, you had about 5,000 jobs. Is that correct?
That's my guess. And I'm saying that because I think Lincoln's probably got 1,000 to 2,000 people. MedPro's got coming up on 1,000. Brotherhood's got 500, and you have these other building blocks and the one-off things that might have 30 to 50 people. So
And how many?
5,000.
And just in your company alone, how many positions do you have open right now?
Probably about 20. So, and I would guess, across the area, there's probably a need for 250 people to start today.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? You're a quiet group. All right. Well, thank you all very much. Thank you for your time.